Pleasant good morning and a warm welcome to everyone. My name is Claudia Thomas. Let us pray. What a friend, what a friend we have in Jesus. All our needs and cares to bear. We praise and adore you, Father, from whence cometh our help. We thank you for the day and we ask your blessing on today's proceedings. We pray for all persons present here today. We pray for the government and the people of this island, Barbados. Lord, we pray for all persons who have been diagnosed with MS or any other challenging disease. Lord, we ask that you would bless our families and loved ones. You know our needs before we ask. Provide for us according to your perfect will. And Lord, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and wisdom to know the difference. May your will, Lord, which is perfect, be made manifest in our individual lives and in the growth of the MS Society. May all the plans for World MS Day on the 30th of this month fall into place according to your perfect will. These and many more mercies we ask in your mighty, dependable name. Amen.
Good morning. Living with MS through the eyes of a loved one. Corey Lane, Member of Parliament, Acting Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, Reverend Paul Leacock of First Baptist Church, Miss Rosalind Hurley, Special Envoy of Persons with Disabilities, Mr. John Hollingsworth, Director of National Disabilities Unit, Marceline Christie, Senior Management of TD Reinsurance Inc., Rosanna Tudor, Operations Manager of the Barbados Council for the Disabled, Ms. Rosalind Maskell of the Mycynthia Gravis Association, representatives from the Barbados Defense Force, representatives from the National Transformation Initiative, friends of the media, distinguished guests, my fellow Multiple Sclerosis Society members, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you a pleasant good morning. My name is Shanice Lane, and it gives me immense pleasure to welcome each and every one of you to Living Life with MS Through the Eyes of a Loved One, hosted by the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Barbados. Today we will acknowledge and celebrate the lives of those living and surviving with multiple sclerosis as we will lead up to May 30th, 2022, World MS Day. At this point, I would ask the President of the Multiple Sclerosis Society, Maria Holder Small, to present us with her remarks.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, Ms. Shanice Lane. Honorable Corey Lane, MP, Acting Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, Reverend Paul Leacock, our guest speaker today, Miss Rosalind Hurley, Special Envoy for Persons with Disabilities, Mr. John Hollingsworth, Director of the National Disabilities Unit, Dr. Alison Leacock, Director of the National Transformation Initiative, Mrs. Rosanna Tudor, Operations Manager of Barbados Council for the Disabled, Mr. Adrian Green, spoken word artist and fellow NTI artivist, Mrs. Marceline Christie, Senior Manager of TD Reinsurance Barbados Limited, specially invited guests, friends from the media, Mrs. Claudia Thomas, Miss Diana Callender, and all MS warriors. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. Today ushers in a new day for us, members of the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Barbados. A brighter future for our society as we host this first event of many more to come. A wider spread to awareness of who we are and what we do. I won't take up much time to tell you about what MS is. We have some fact sheets here available for persons to take today. But we are here to share in any way. We use the butterfly as it represents a sign of hope. Hope for a cure. Hope for a better day tomorrow than what we may be having today. Hope for so many things in the minds of persons living with MS. We proudly wear our new shirts today. Color, which it is our intention not to be missed. However, we encourage you to go orange with us and for us next Monday, May the 30th, which is celebrated as World MS Day. When they were asked what they want to do for that day, the reply was just to go to the beach. Simple sea bath. It will be hosted and facilitated by the Barbados Coast Guard personnel. So that is where we will be next Monday from 10 to 4. I would not have enough time to share with you the chapters of our lives, filled with the many adjustments, the daily challenges, to do simple things that we may have been able to do only yesterday, or simple things that you may take for granted. But it's not all gloom and doom, because there are many of my fellow warriors here today that no matter what is going on, their determination and strength must be commended. The MS Society was formed in 1997, and we currently have 30 active members. But amongst ourselves, we know at least 35 other persons who have been diagnosed, but for different reasons are not involved. Sadly, in many cases, persons wish to keep their condition a secret for as long as they can. Regrettably, keeping it hidden makes it difficult for people to appreciate the complexities and silent side effects of the condition. This often fuels the insensitive responses from others to those who may not outwardly manifest the level of pain or the challenges with which they are struggling. Our goal as an association is to further educate and sensitize you to all the dimensions of this condition so we can transform our attitudes and be more inclusive and accommodating. We will be celebrating our 25th anniversary in October of this year, and you will definitely be hearing more from us about those plans. However, I implore you to join with us to make it a memorable silver anniversary. Even though we lack volunteers, with many of our members needing assistance,
So, my job as a spoken word artist, a poet, is to take the experiences of a number of people and distill it down into a few lines so that everybody could understand and appreciate. And I just got to say to you that I'm here on the invitation of my friend Maria, and she put me in a difficult position because this is one of the hardest poems that I've ever had to write, because how can I understand what this community has to deal with? How can I ever be able to put myself in your shoes? And even if I could, from what I understand, the experience of each of you can be so different and so unique. So I've written a short piece here on the theme, Through the Eyes of Loved Ones. I've seen the impact that Maria has had when she interacts with the Barbadian public through her role as an NTI archivist, and what someone from this community can do to affect the hearts and the minds of the rest of Barbados by allowing them to see a little bit of the world through her eyes. So what I've tried to do is to the best of my ability, try to imagine what it must be like for you experiencing what you're going through, and as you relate to your loved ones, friends and family. And even if you may not have that kind of support system, maybe it is your faith and your spiritual friends and family that you have support from. So anything I get right, I give thanks for for that. And anything I get wrong, please, I beg your forgiveness. Through the eyes of loved ones, I see it through. Between me and you, the two, we gotta find something that we could do to get through the fog of life. When the fog of life seems too thick for me to see through it. When faith slips and I feel like it can't do it. When the night is so dark it feels like day will never break. Through the eyes of loved ones, I see a way to walk in light. Even in a cave, even in a maze with no signs, what amazing grace it is to find that I am not alone. That I don't have to find my way through it on my own. That I that sees me when I'm fractured pictures me whole. And you hold my hand so that I don't remain half-hearted and cold. 2/3 of the man I can be, more than a body, I am a soul. To the eyes of those who love me, I see myself engaged to the fullest of my capacity, set right when I capsize, so that I can live my life with dignity. The eyes of those who love me dig into me, to mine that gold that I couldn't see because it was buried deep. Now I am richer than I thought I could be, because they love me and I love them. Through the eyes of family and friends, I can see that I am not alone and there's someone on whom I can depend. Through the eyes of those who love me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Green, for those words that I'm sure touch a lot of persons here today. Next up, we will have remarks by Mr. John Hollingsworth, the Director of the National Disability Unit. Thank you.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies. The Honorable Corey Lane, Acting Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs. Madam President, Miss Maria Holder Small. Reverend Paul Leacock. Miss Alison Leacock, Director of the National Transformation Initiative. Special invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my extreme pleasure to be here with you this morning to bring you some brief remarks from the National Disabilities Unit. I would have heard earlier that there are some 30 members of this association, of a total of about say 60 persons or 65 persons who were diagnosed with the condition of multiple sclerosis. I recognize too that it is the condition that affects persons are first diagnosed between age 20 to 40, and then it sometimes comes back. I recognize as well that it's a debilitating illness, and as such, there's a call for tremendous support from not only your loved ones, but from agencies of government, primarily the National Assistance Board and a number of private sector, as well as non-governmental organizations. But I'm here basically to outline to you, for those of you who may not know, what the National Disabilities Unit can do for persons of this organization. We have what we call an accessibility program, because we do recognize, again, that you have some issues with your mobility, some of you, from varying degrees. And what we do basically for those persons who are unable to afford the cost is to provide ramps to facilitate easy access to your homes, your residences, and where you may need to have that transformation or that renovation expanded to ensure that you have full access to all quarters of your home. We do that as well, primarily bathroom, etc., kitchen. And we may also be able to adjust some of your counters to make sure that life is a lot easier for you. In addition to our accessibility program, of course, we also provide, as part of that program rather, wheelchairs to assist you. We provide walkers. And more recently, we would have advocated for the increase or the addition of parking spaces in Bridgetown to make life a lot easier for you, because we did recognize that a number of able-bodied persons would park in Bridgetown all day, whole day, for free. And there was none, or that facility was not extended to persons with disabilities who would even need it more so than those able-bodied persons. We have been having some challenges in terms of our transport that we provide to help persons like yourself meet your medical appointments, your recreational activities, and generally your physiotherapy sessions. Our transportation vehicle is aging. It is afflicted with some mechanical issues. And I just read an email there from my executive officer which indicate to me that one of our new buses will be delivered today. So rest assured, you would again be able to benefit from assistance from transportation from the National Disabilities Unit. And I know that that's a major issue for persons with disabilities. Additionally, with this transforming into a condition that which you're not accustomed to, we provide services like IT training, information technology training as well, that will help you to become more abreast with what goes on in the world, and therefore you can sign up with us to participate in that program through our IT consultant, who is also coincidentally the president of the Barbados Council for the Disabled, Miss Carrie-Ann Eiffel. I would have recently heard that there is a program there are programs within Coursera, who the director is here with us this morning, and I was advocating for you, the disabled community, to be part of that specific program. And I think that Dr. Leacock should be able to attest to that. I made a very passionate plea to make these programs accessible for persons with disabilities. And once I have once I have the opportunity to review what the program has to offer, I will help in publicizing these programs for persons with disabilities, because we do recognize that in spite of the condition, that you too would want to play your full part in the development of Barbados and in the economy. Recreation, I would recognize on May the 30th, you announced that you'll be celebrating Multiple Sclerosis Day. And you're having, of all things, it was astounding to me that all that the members want was a beach day. I can understand. And I would want to offer you here now this morning the opportunity to use some wheelchairs that we have that give you full access to the beach. Right? All you need to do basically, but you don't need to do anything, I will make all the arrangements to you. And I hope to be here again for your 25th anniversary in October. And feel free to call on the National Disabilities Unit to help you in not only planning, but in celebrating that Silver Jubilee. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Hollingsworth. I am sure that on behalf of myself and the Multiple Sclerosis Society, we can say thank you for your generosity, and we appreciate it. Next up, we will have remarks by Honorable Corey Lane, the Acting Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs.
Good morning, all. No, I thought I was coming after Adrian Green, so I had a little poem prepared. I have to weave it into my presentation. I don't want to move away from the formal nature of today's activity, but I want to change it up a bit. I don't want to specify. I want to give some remarks and have a conversation with you this morning. So I'm going to do it a little different. I'm going to say Reverend Paul Leacock, someone who I've had a wonderful conversation with and I now have an ally in as we fight for the vulnerable in this country. Good morning. The director of the National Disability Unit, who you just heard from this morning, and I was going to tell you that he is a powerful advocate, he is a powerful activist, and he is a powerful ally for the disabled and the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Barbados, because he did advocate passionately to Dr. Leacock to make sure that you all are involved in all of the training. After advocacy for about 20 years to have parking in the city and other places of business for the disabled, after 20 years, he came and did it in 2 months, and I think he should be applauded for that. So you do not have just a director in name or a director in pay, but you have a director of action. And I think that the disability community can be extremely pleased with their director of the National Disabilities Unit. Dr. Leacock, my friend, Executive Director of the National Transformation Institute Initiative, every I you can think of, and the Barbadian symbol of excellence. Good morning to you. And she is a person who will determine and will be determined to ensure that you have the opportunities, as promised to the director, to open up those training opportunities for you, because the ministry's policy, one of them at least in relation to the disabled, is workplace policy and quality work for those with disabilities. So that training and that certification will be very, very important, and that is something that you can be pleased and proud about. Now this morning, coming here to this beautiful ceremony, I saw these beautiful faces, these beautiful spirits, and this beautiful butterfly and the beautiful color orange, which means life and coming to be. And I believe that it is fitting that this society in Barbados has decided to take the bold step, to step out and to be recognized as an association, as an organization, because any vulnerable group in Barbados would know that it is very important to have that collaborative spirit, to have that support system. Together you stand and together you are stronger, and I am encouraging you to give the full support to your president and the association, because even more so than any time before, we need to support each other in the environment that the world finds itself in this 21st century that we live in. For me, you've come to age when you can put a ceremony on, when you can have the invitation of the head table, but more importantly, to have your plans and your programs in place for something, as you said, as simple as a beach day. And that is what I want to implore each and every one of you, to make sure that your voice is heard through organizations such as these. Nothing for us without us. I am here to reconfirm the commitment of the Ministry of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs. I am here to swear that I care and that I will hear and listen to the plight of every vulnerable community. You see, Adrian, I work in, right? Every vulnerable community in this society. Just this morning, and I'm glad I didn't get a speechwriter to put a speech there for me, because just this morning I was speaking to some of your members. And simple workplace concerns, or what we would believe is simple workplace concerns, not reaching the National Disability Unit, not reaching the ministry, cannot be addressed. And that is why the important work of organizations for these, not just to meet and sip tea and eat scones, but to make sure that you get down to brass tacks, that you get down to the work of hearing the experiences of each and every member in the association, and make sure that it filters up to the top, so that as the policies filter down, that they would include the experiences of those who have to feel the pain, those who have to feel the discrimination in the workplace, those who cannot access quality work and quality pay because of whatever condition they may have in this Barbados. And this is something I am imploring the organization and the association to do. Make sure that your voice as an association, and hence the voice of every member in that association, is heard, and that those who are writing and implementing policies make sure that there is nothing for you without you. And I make the commitment to you that this ministry, the minister, the substantive minister, and myself, we care. Now, some people may be in fear. When you think of caring, a lot of the times you may think of the symbol of the woman. And there have been many strives of women in this country and the world that I support and very proud of. I am here to tell you, don't fear though, because the Minister of People Empowerment is a man. The Parliamentary Secretary is a man. We are getting a Permanent Secretary tomorrow who is a man. The National Disability Unit has a director who is a man. But I can tell you, these 4 men, from everything I know, I can swear that they care. I have seen it not demonstrated by lip service. I've seen it demonstrated time and time again by the commitment, the meetings, the discussions, but more importantly, the policies and the pulling off of just something as it's just a first step. In terms of the parking initiative, I've had many discussions with the director, and there are lots of other things in the pipeline. And one thing I like to see myself as is Mr. Action Jackson. So I like to follow up on them with the discussions that we have, so that they do not just end up on paper or on a file on the computer known as File 13, never to be implemented. So I want you to hold my feet to the fire as I hold their feet to the fire, to ensure that multiple sclerosis MS can stand not for multiple suffering, multiple sad stories, but it can stand for multiple successes of the people of this community. In closing, it is the Marrakesh Treaty that I believe that the director, Marrakesh, has implored upon us to ensure that Barbados becomes signatory to open up even more opportunities for you, for copyright material, for things in Braille, for more education, for more training. Again, the director just did not just speak about it. By the time I tried to follow up with the minister said the director done submit the paper already. The paper is there, the cabinet paper is there, and come on Wednesday, I will be bringing that paper, carrying that paper to cabinet to ensure that we have the go-ahead, the green light to sign on that, to make sure that life is a little easier for those living with disabilities in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, as I close, I implore you to stay strong, to stay together, and ensure that we can go from strength to strength in the community in Barbados, disabled or not, vulnerable or not, that we are in this together, and that we can do this and make a better life for all. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Corey Lane. I'm taking over Shanice's role for 1 minute. Your words were very encouraging. Thank you, Becca. Thank you, Honorable Corey Lane. I said, forgive me, I'm taking over the role of Shanice for 1 minute, because I feel on my heart that we should have Dr. Leacock say a few words. She has been very, I know I've put her on the spot more than once for the day, She'll get me after with love. But I personally, not only as my boss, but we have called on her in so many ways. And she never tells me no. I remember we had a presentation to do for the St. Matthew's Positive Youth. And I want to say now, I want to ask Rodine, just wave your hand. Rodine is a member who was online that night. And the MS, we did our very first online session. And all the members, our Vice President, Nikila, and a whole Shanice and a whole set of them came on online. That was our first. And I did not know where to start with the presentation I had the info, but just to get it looking pretty, you know? And I called Allison, and it was like no time. In record time, it was sent back. There are many, many other things that the members might even know that I would call on Dr. Leacock to do. Forgive me for calling her Allison, but Dr. Leacock, you know, and she really has been a friend in the back for MS that you all don't know in a lot of ways. So this note, I just want to ask her to have, especially after what Minister Lane said about, and Mr. Hollingsworth spoke about accessibility. I would just like you to just say a few words. Thank you.
Anybody who knows Maria knows it's difficult to say no to Maria. But Honorable Minister Lane, Director Hollingsworth, Reverend Leacock, President Holder Small, distinguished members of the MS Society, and indeed the BCD. It's good to be amongst you, and what a sunshine view it is with all of you in this wonderful bright orange for the Caribbean. My only words would be about the opportunity for you to let your light shine as Starbajans. When I attended the online forum, it was obvious that there were so many dimensions to MS that the country does not appreciate, that I want to take this opportunity to salute each of you for your courage, your fortitude, your resilience, and your joy. We see it every day with Maria at the NTI. And I think even some of our colleagues don't quite appreciate what it takes. But she's at every full team meeting on camera, and we know we love to have the cameras off on Zoom. And she's really actively contributing to NTI. I know you are too, and I think that you need to let the story be told by you, about you, and for you. The only thing I will add is the invitation and the challenge that Director Hollingsworth threw out about making our courses accessible. I'm very proud to say that NTI from inception made its website fully accessible. We actually invited President Carrie-Ann Eiffel to view our website, and she did indicate then that it was one of the most accessible she had experienced, and we know she's a tech whiz. So we have continued to work to ensure the inclusion of people with disabilities. That is why Maria is our NTI archivist who champions people with disabilities and does join me and Adrian in training sessions about disability etiquette. She doesn't stop. I like to say she keeps us honest like Anderson Cooper within the NTI. And what I will say is that there is an ongoing and open invitation for you to join us on training.nti.org.bb. training.nti.org.bb. There are tons of courses there for you. I urge you to start with a really short one. Online safety takes about 30 minutes. And then there is, of course, our flagship course of citizenship. You've heard the Prime Minister talk about it. I urge every Barbadian who is a Starbajan already to ensure that you enroll in this course. It will prepare you mentally for all of the training that we have online. And then we have thousands of courses that are available through our NTI Coursera partnership. And I am pleased to say that after our launch of phase 2, we have moved to over 25,100 Barbadians who have signed up for our NTI Coursera courses, and over 16,000 now for our NTI citizenship course and our indigenous courses on our learning management system. So the door is open for you. We're accessible online. We have our e-learner support teams waiting, ready, willing, and able to support you once you log on. And as long as we have your email, you'll be hearing from us. Our e-newsletter comes out every week, and Raquel, who's sitting right here, does a wonderful job on it. So she selects some courses that might help you decide, because there's a bit of a too much choice dilemma on the site, but we try to help you. So we welcome the opportunity to continue to partner with you, and I look forward to you shining your light brightly as the Starbadians that I know you are.
Reverend Paul Anthony Leacock. The Reverend Paul Leacock is a multifaceted minister that has trained and worked in several disciplines. This may account for his breadth of experience and competence in human resource and social discipline in which he serves. Reverend Leacock currently serves as a pastor of the First Baptist Church, Constitution Road, St. Michael. He has authored 2 books, The Discipler and Shadow Minister. He is the main speaker of the discipleship journey, heard weekly on Life 97.5 FM. Prior to the First Baptist, Reverend Leacock was the discipleship minister for the Greater Allen Cathedral of New York for 10 years, ministering to the needs of the 15,000 member body. As a counselor, serving cancer patients, trained hospital visitation team, and also conducted the workshop for the support groups. Reverend Leacock has served as a lecturer at the York College, City University of New York in speech, and then the Barbados Community College, where he did ethics and citizenship. Additionally, Reverend Leacock has served as a para-chaplain for over 20 years at the Rikers Island Woodbourne Correctional, Danbury, where he has been commended numerous times by these institutions for his ministry to persons incarcerated at those penal institutions. His international experience. Reverend Leacock led a short-term mission to Haiti in the wake of the 2010 earthquake, and to Taiwan, both in Taipei and the coastal cities. Reverend Leacock's education. Master of Divinity at the Bethel University in USA. He also has a Bachelor of Science degree in Human Resource Management, where he has his honors from the York College. Associate degree in History and Economics from the Barbados Community College. Reverend Leacock was the principal caregiver for his late wife Lauren after 21 years battling with MS. He has 3 daughters and 4 grandchildren. He spends his spare time reading and writing. I'll ask you to give a round of applause as we welcome Reverend Paul Leacock. After that, we will open up the floor for question and answer.
I'd like to say good morning to everyone. Protocol having been established, which takes me off the hook of having to follow such excellent speakers and try to be as poetic as the minister has done. I want to say how much I appreciate this invitation. And as Dr. Leacock has indicated, it's very hard to say no to your president. I want to commend all those of you who are part of your leadership, all who sit on your committees, all your leaders who serve, and all of you as members who contribute in one way or another, even with your presence. That's significant. There's no way I could have said no to Maria. Having made her acquaintance, as you would remember when many of you came to the church service that we had there at First Baptist. We're still, I believe, I think I could make this boast, the only church where you do not have to come up a ramp, go down a ramp, climb any stairs, use an elevator. You can come from the street straight into the church and still be seated comfortably, and you would know that you are welcome because that space has been accorded to you given our own personal experience. I'm charged with the responsibility to give you the view that forms the theme for today, and that is living life with MS through the eyes of a loved one. And I'll try my best to contain my remarks because I am sensitive to the fact that this condition also robs one of energy, and therefore I will not keep you unduly long, but just to say what is important. And of course, I'm preaching to the choir, so to speak. And many of the things that I say would already resonate with you. You would already say, I know, and you know it experientially, as many of us try to understand it theoretically and by mere observation. But before I do, may I ask, please, are there any, well, we know there's one mother here who is dedicated to her daughter, God bless you. Are there any husbands here who are supporting someone with MS? All right. Any wives? All right. Wonderful. Any other family members or friends that is supporting someone with MS? Wonderful. Because I believe my remarks would probably resonate with you as well as those who are bearing this condition. Not that they're excluded in any way, but it bears hearing from one who walk alongside those who have MS. So, just 4 areas I will touch on, and trust me, after journeying with Lorraine for 21 years out of a 39-year marriage, there's much that could be said. But sometimes you don't need to say much, you just need to say enough. One of the things that is characteristic about caring for someone with this, I would say, dreadful condition, is the drastic change that you see. It brings about such a drastic change in life. You're going along, living life, working, enjoying all your pleasures and relations. You've built a career. You have established a family. And all of a sudden, the bottom seems to drop out. The change appears and is seen in every area of the life. Physically, you can see the weakness increasing, the tremors, the various types of illnesses that you cannot explain, hence the term multiple, from all kinds of directions, and you can't quite figure out exactly what is happening. And that's one of the most disturbing things of all. Because when you think it's A and you test for that, it's not. And then you rush to C, skipping B, and then you're told it's neither. And on you go, trying to determine what is the physical disability that you're experiencing, only to be constantly going down Alice rabbit holes and never getting answers. And of course, we know as a holistic unit, as people, when the physical is affected, where we are no longer able to function the way we should, it leads to the next area of ourselves, which is the emotional side of us. Who wants to be weak? Who wants not to be able to go to work and perform the job that they studied so hard for and have gained the certifications and experience in? Who wants to suddenly not to be able to comb their daughter's hair or to do all the simple mundane things that we take for granted? It has a deep and significant impact on the psyche when you are not able to function physically as you are accustomed. And if you are a true Barbadian female, you know it brings some significant challenges because we are very proud people. Funny story, Lorraine and I were in Miami, and those of you who've traveled to Miami know it's a huge airport. No matter how able you are, you can be lost at Miami. If you don't know where you're going, you better get some help. And even if you're able-bodied, every now and again get on the cart that will take you around. And she said, sitting in her wheelchair as we wait to board to get back to Barbados, I need to go to the bathroom. No problem. We've done this hundreds of times before in various situations. And so I got ready. You know, you got to be careful now because you're leaving bags behind. You're leaving all kinds of things behind. And you can't carry bags and personal items and her and all that at the same time. So you take a chance and you hope that the persons around you are understanding and will go against the protocols and look at the bag for you. So on my way to, there I am, pushing, no problem, taking her to the bathroom. And when I got to the bathroom, I suddenly had a realization. Which bathroom do I take her in? Do I take her into the bathroom where there are men lined against the wall urinating? Do I give her that indignity? Do I take her into the women's bathroom? Well, that's where she belongs. She's a woman, but I'm a man. And I am in Miami. And I happen to be conscious of my complexion. In Barbados, we forget that we are black. Anybody tell you black, you said so. But that's not the case. When you are in different jurisdictions, particularly those who make your color a class or caste. The last thing I would want is for somebody to scream, "There's a man in the bathroom, a black man." I can see myself being hauled off by the security trying to explain, and my wife somewhere behind, and hours after, who knows what will happen. As God would have it, I'm only going to use her complexion to underscore the point. A white lady just walked up to me and said, "Would you like me to help you?" And before I can say anything, I said, yes, sure. Now, my wife is, like many of you, fiercely private. Fiercely. And therefore, to turn her over to a perfect stranger to go to the bathroom, what's it going to be, number one, number two, and how is this person going to assist her? And therefore, you are there in this wretched dilemma. But I yielded. I don't even think that I thought about it enough, and I'm glad I didn't. She whisked her in. I waited nervously on the outside. And in short order, she brought her back and said, here you are. I'm still in a state of shock. And I'm looking at my wife to see if she's okay. Is everything fine? And I turn around to say thank you, and the person is no longer there. But psychologically, can you imagine having to be turned over to a stranger in an airport to go to take care of something extremely personal? I can give you many other stories about airports, some that were absolutely horrific that we had to endure. And then there's that spiritual part of you, because we forget oftentimes as we deal with persons that they're not just physical and mental and emotional, but they're spiritual. Oftentimes in our planning as technocrats and bureaucrats, we make provision for everything but the spiritual. And I'm not saying this because I'm a pastor. I'm not saying this because I've been trained as a chaplain and attend to people who are ill constantly. But I'm saying it because it's a proven scientific fact that if you attend to people's needs and neglect their spiritual needs, you're really missing a significant part of that person. Because you see, love is not physical. It manifests itself as. Hope is not physical. Faith isn't physical. To be able to strive against the odds, you need a lot more than physical, and you need a lot more than bravado. You need absolutely those spiritual qualities that can get you to wake up every day and strive against the odds. Am I right or am I right? Why me? Why now? Why not her over there? She's not been a good person for years. I've been living right. I ate right. I did right. I went to school. I listened to my mother. I obeyed my parents. I go to church. I pray. I've been a good person. And this? Lord, what have I done? Lord, what's my sin? And the inward journey goes where you are looking to see where you have offended God, that such an affliction can come upon you. Am I right? Oh, yeah. And there's some questions that no one else can answer. Questions. Like Job, you want to curse the day you were born. Like Job, you're wondering, all the good I did makes no difference. And you're wondering, where's God in all this? You know? So after 18 years of marriage, we're in the U.S. We're studying. I'm pursuing my studies. I finished my bachelor's degree, and I'm on to master's. My children are getting a decent education. We didn't put them in public school because we didn't want them being called coconut and all the other nonsense that happens. And Lorraine has finally decided what she wants to do. We had a lot of arguments about that. And she finally decides that she wants to do cosmetology. So she's going to a great school. She's learning well. She's aced her pedicure classes, manicure classes, and now she's on to hair and styling and cutting, and she's having the ball. She's having so much fun, I'm beginning to get jealous. Because before it was us doing everything together. Now that she's in the school that I fought so hard for her to get in and fuss that she must do something career-wise, and now it's as if she don't even need me anymore. She's having so much fun meeting friends. And you must know about my wife, she's not the most gregarious, sanguine personality. She's one that will come and sit quietly and survey the room. And all of a sudden, they're friends, colleagues. So you could imagine the drastic change when suddenly, out of nowhere, signs of something ominous begins to happen in her body. And then the second observation that those who care for those with MS will make is the dearth of answers. What is it? We never heard of MS before. What's this? Is it poor circulation? We ran down that path. Is it a nervous situation? Is it something with the nerves, the blood, the what? Where did it come from? And how do we fix it? Questions. And nobody seemed to be able to give you any satisfactory answers. It got to the point that we ran from pillar to post, from specialist to specialist every time we heard about somebody who might be able to find out what it was, because we did not know what was happening. And we were going from person to person, specialist to specialist. And some of them didn't even accept our medical insurances. So oftentimes you're paying out of pocket because these particular specialists that I'm sure you are very well aware of don't accept that insurance, so that insurance, you must pay them in cash. To the point that Lorraine became, if I can coin a term, medically fatigued. She had medical fatigue, clinician fatigue. As soon as I came home, I said, guess what? I heard about somebody who we think we can figure out what it is. And she would look at me, not with hopeful eyes, but like, another visit, another doctor, they're going to tell me what? Another disappointment. I remember sitting into the rooms with her, and this particular neurologist was pricking her in every direction to see if he can find out what's happening here. Is it here? Is it there? Is it there? Looking for all the neurological pathways to see if he can decipher. And then he threw up his hands and looked at me like, I'm like, you're the neurologist. But he looked at me like, well, I don't know. I can't do nothing about this. I don't know what's going on here. In a rare moment, he admitted, he didn't come and give me any medical mumbo jumbo to try to cover his ignorance. But he simply said he was exhausted. He exhausted all of his medical training. And he said, I don't know what this is. I don't know what's causing this. And after a while, going and coming, trying and coming back home in silence because it's another disappointment. I can see her becoming fatigued, not wanting to even go to another appointment anymore. And that brings me to the third aspect of living with a person with MS, to show what life is like with a person afflicted with MS. I want to take it away from living life with and living with a person. Because many times we become so lost in the disease. Many times we become so wrapped up and enamored with the condition that we forget that that condition belongs to a person. You ever felt like that? The person is so concerned with the term MS that they don't even know your name. Don't know your name. They're treating a disease of a person rather than a person with a disease. And how we need to turn that around. How we need to let our clinicians know that this is a person that has a disease, rather than focusing on treatments, to focus on the person. So the third aspect is the disarming helplessness. There's a helplessness that disarms you. I must tell you, and I'm sure the men here will agree with me, that there's nothing that frustrates and disarms a man more than when he is confronted with a problem and have no idea what to do. I think our sisters can handle that better, because you are better processors of problems than we are. We are driven to solution quick. You know, it's like you come home and you tell your husband, your brother, your male partner, a friend, your uncle, somebody in the family about something that's happening that's disturbing you at work. And before you can finish tell them the story, they say, listen, you know what you need to do? If it was you, this is what we do. Don't worry about all that foolishness, man. Do this and do that and do that and do that and do that, and everything be all right. And you're left stunned. You're like, but, man, by telling you, don't worry about it, do that. Men are so solution driven. We're wired that way because we are supposed to lead. We're supposed to shoulder responsibilities. We're supposed to carry the load. We're supposed to bear the burden and have the pleasure of you assisting us with your competencies and your potentialities to ensure success, to partner with us to make sure that what needs to be done, that we've agreed upon, gets done. And so we rush to solutions before sometimes we process what is going on. And we miss all of those finer details as we get lost in the macro of life. And our women often are in the micro of life. But you feel disarmed. You feel helpless. Can you imagine having a wife that has a situation and you can't do anything about it? Can you imagine seeing a problem in front of you and you've tried everything? You've spent everything. You've done everything. And you're still coming up short. You don't know what to do. In men, that presents a significant problem. Oftentimes we see in our society, and it's not poor to say without putting down the brothers, that's not what causes a lot of men to walk away. Men don't run just because they're, in Bajan parlance, worthless. But men often run because they feel inadequate there in that situation. When that situation constantly reminds them of their inadequacy, their incompetencies, their inabilities to address the situation, that's the worst place to be. It's better to go where the guys are playing dominoes, where everybody says, hey, how you doing? And they know that they want you on their team because you can read the board best. They want you where you bring life and everybody sees you as the person that they want around. It's easier to go where you're being hailed as opposed to where you are and you are incompetent. And so, from a male perspective, be careful not to allow the fact that you are disarmed and helpless and you feel hopeless and hapless not to let you walk away. And we walk away in different ways, you know. You can be there and still walk away. Does that sound right? You can be there, you're present, but emotionally, you're not engaged. You can feel part. The person hasn't abandoned you physically, but you can look in their eyes and see that vacant stare. You can feel that disconnectedness. You can feel as though they've given up. You can feel as though you're being tolerated. I know you may be with the person who brought you or is caring for you. You don't want to look around at them at this time. That's all right. But it's a reality that we need to come to terms with. And we need to be careful as men in particular, not to allow our sense of ego to inhibit our ability to be there and to show true care. It's not enough to say, well, okay, I did breakfast before I left, lunch in the microwave. It's not enough to say, well, I did our laundry. And we have a way of saying, for you. Don't we do that? I washed your clothes for you. I cooked some food for you. I carried school the children for you. They're not our kids. They're yours. Right? So I'm spending a little time on this to say to our brothers, when you feel helpless and hopeless, when you're not sure whether you should fight, when you have the fight or flight response, wait a little while, dig a little deeper, go a little further. I would often say, and some of my members at church will be a little shocked, Dr. Leacock, when I say to them, I've come to the stage where I've begun to enjoy putting on what was a pleasure taking off. That's a different type of love. As men, we have no problem. We can undress you real quick. If our eyes haven't done it already, our hands can get you out of your clothes faster than you yourself. Isn't that right? Yes, we can. And what a pleasure it is to do it. But it's different when the same woman that you have loved and enjoyed, now suddenly you're putting on the clothes you're delighted in taking off. That's a whole different psychological shift in your mind. How do you dress a woman when you're a man? Looks simple, doesn't it? But it's not, is it? Women have a lot of other intricacies that we don't even think about. We take a t-shirt and we put it over our head, we put through our neck and we pull it down and that's it. But you can't do that with a woman, can you? How about putting on tights and stockings and don't run them? Because you can't take her out. She's already looking, she doesn't want to look impaired to everybody. Doesn't want to look like the obvious disabled person in the room. So now all the good clothes that she has, she wants to wear and still look pretty. So you can't go now and rough on her stockings and they have more ladders than a construction engineer. You're drawing attention to her and making her look bad. Am I right, ladies? So now you have to make sure you file down them rough fingernails of yours. And make sure that all them little areas of your hands that get the little corns aren't there. And snag in her stockings. But to take your time and find a way to pull them up all nice and gentle so that when you are finished, she can look at you and say, good, you're learning. And what do you do with her hair? You can't take her to the hairdresser every day. You may not be able to have somebody to come in to do it every day. What do you do when you're helpless? How do you fix her hair when she was a cosmetologist and always had her coiffure looking good? Her toilette was in place constantly. What do? You can't take her out like we say, pop down. And her daughters are looking on. We have 3. And you still want to be able to say, this is my wife. And people look at her and she can still participate in the conversation and in the situation without feeling that she's lost her place, lost her station in life. And you're still being able to flit around the tables, and people are still able to fawn with you and flirt with you, and she's there like the impaired one looking on pitifully. What do you do when you feel like that? When all the weapons in your war chests have been exhausted, all the meds you've tried. I'm sure many of you have become experts in smoothies, in treatments. Y'all could start a different company and run a maze out of business. You know all the things that could work, all the vegetables that do whatever. And truth be told, many of you are more expert in your dietary supplements than some of the doctors that treat you. Many of you are better equipped and au fait with many of the treatments and therapies than those who are being paid to administer them. Is that true or not? Don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself short. Because within that body of knowledge, there's benefit. I thank God for the National Disabilities Unit. I thank God for an advocate in Dr. Leacock. I thank God for every person who has reached out, Senator Eiffel and others, who cater to you. But I want you to know, if you're part of this little excursion, that many of you have competencies that this disease has given you that you're taking for granted. Many of you can take the training that's offered and build businesses. You will say, how am I going to build a business? I can't even get there. You don't even, today's world, thank God for technology, you don't even have to be there. You just have to direct the traffic. Don't sell yourself short. But let me hasten to the final observation that I can make in this respect. There are those demands on self. To care for another is a major human endeavor. Major. We were cared for when we were born. We're the only creatures on earth that cannot survive unless we're cared for. Most other creatures can survive upon birth. A foal of a horse is born, and in seconds it's on its feet and running behind its mother. A fish swims out, the eggs burst forth, and they're swimming like they've been swimming for 100 years. But not so with human beings. We are naked, cold, and helpless. And unless somebody detaches us from our mothers, we cannot survive. For the first time in our lives, our lungs have to breathe. We weren't breathing in our mother's wombs. We lived in water. Now, for the first time, our lungs have to breathe. And our blood supply has to manage an entire body all on its own without the aid of our mothers. And we have to be nursed at their breast. I laugh with inner interest now that we see the United States reeling from the lack of baby products. We became so sophisticated that nursing babies was not for a certain class of people. And now all of a sudden breast milk is even being sold on the internet. Not interesting? Just an aside. But the demands on self, as a person caring for a loved one, the demands on yourself is enormous. And I can say a lot about that, but I'll say it in this way. Sometimes it's hard because the very person that you're caring for pushes you away. It's hard to take care of somebody who sometimes don't seem to welcome your care. And I don't think it's because they don't want the care, they need the care. But the circumstances and the conditions that they're in can sometimes be so hard to cope with. They don't even want you. Let me give you an example. What do you do when you're doing everything that you feel a good husband, good faithful man should do? And your wife says to you one day, I'm not good to you anymore. You better off finding somebody else. What do you do with that? I thank God that I was trained well enough in my academics, cultured enough by my mother, my parents, enriched enough by my faith to be able to see that that was more a cry for affirmation than a genuine statement. Did she really want me to say, okay, well, all right, I understand. Well, I'll call the lawyer. We'll make the divorce. We'll send you to a good nursing home, and I'll marry again, and me and the girls will just trip through the daisies. It's been good knowing you. Is that really what she wanted? Or having said that because it was a true sentiment, it was a true feeling. And we must remember, feelings aren't facts. And because a person expresses a feeling, it doesn't necessarily even what they want, but it's just how they feel right now. Was that a cry as she looked in your eyes to say, no matter what, I'm here? Was that what she wanted to hear? Well, whether she wanted to hear that or not, there's no way I could have even think about what she was saying. How after 18 years of wonderful marriage, beautiful relationship, memories that are rich, that you can look at the woman whose youth you enjoyed. And I must tell you, my wife was the shyest woman you'll ever meet. But she was a great wife. We can have the worst argument and still have the best relationships. She never turned and looked at the wall any one night. She never said once, don't even touch me. Don't come near me. Never. Not because at times that may not have been all right, but our bedroom was never a place where weapons of our sexuality was used, but where we were able to constantly enjoy what a husband and a wife should. And for her to tell me that after our 3 beautiful children, and to think about the home, it was not to be considered. And so I told her what I meant. Don't talk foolishness, girl. What's wrong with you? I'm not going anywhere. Because I know if I was in the same situation, you would have done even more than I can do. Because I was still taking care of the children. Some of our responsibilities are shifted. The food had to be cooked. The clothes had to be washed. And Lord, I know I couldn't keep the house the way she did. She was too meticulous. There's some things I know I never would rise to her standard. And she would tell me so. And I would have to graciously accept that is true. And I was in one of the biggest jobs of my career. I was managing the discipleship program of a church that had 22 members enrolled, 22,000 members enrolled, and 15,000 that came to the church every Sunday. The responsibilities were awesome. And without her income, the girls still had to go to college. And oh, how I wish we were in Barbados where college is free. But not so in the U.S. But let me hurry to say, those of you who care for loved ones must recognize some things that I've been able to recognize. Sickness depersonalizes you. I want you to hear me clearly now. Sickness depersonalizes you. It causes you to lose so much of your identity. It causes you to lose so much of your personal privacy. It causes you to have to surrender so much of yourself that you become depersonalized. It also desensitizes you. When you're feeling pain constantly, when your mind tells you you can do something, pick up a simple thing and your hands wouldn't cooperate. When you know you can run and your foot wouldn't even take a first step. When you know in your mind that you could run past Usain Bolt, but you can't even swing your legs out the bed. You become desensitized. You're so focused on what's not working that it takes away the sensitivity to be as nice and kind and courteous. After a while, it seems as though you become cold and snappy and sometimes angry, and you're wondering, and you want to be able to say, but why are you treating me so? Why are you treating me like this? But you need to pause and realize that the person is not mistreating you because they have suddenly become wicked, but because so much attention is being pulled away from themselves to focus on what they're trying to do, that they don't even think that you're tired. I'm sure the mother would agree. I'm sure some of you agree that the moment you sit down, you hear, Paul. You say, let me go and lay down for a few minutes because I know I'm going to have to go back to her. And as soon as your head hit the pillow, you hear, Paul. And that's when you're going to pray. Say, Jesus, give me grace now, Lord. Huh? You say, do you need anything else? No, I'm all right. You sure? Yes. And before you can get through, wait a minute, look. desensitized even to your needs. It's so consuming they can't even think about your needs and think about what you need to do. This disease causes a detached self. They become detached from the world around you, from things around you, from people around you. Become detached. And it displaces your emotions. Your emotions are all over the place. And you're trying your best to keep them all lined up and nice and tight in the bow, but they won't cooperate. Because every day is something different. You know, for most diseases, it's a straight line. This will happen, that will happen, that will happen, that will happen. But with multiple sclerosis, anything can happen. Any day of the week, any time of the month, anywhere. It's hard. And so I thank God. Let me close by saying, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. Is my story nice and tidy? And I wish I can tell you it has a glorious ending. And I've discovered great wisdom from God from above. We still have great discussions. There are still things that I don't understand. How could I go to church and people come to the altar with needs? And I can tell you without fear of contradiction, we prayed for some people and they come back the next week and say, Pastor, the cancer gone, the doctor can't find it. And somebody else come back and say, every time I go to New York, someone says, Reverend, so good to see you. You know the boy that you pray for? Yes. My grandson, you remember him? Yes. He graduated, you know. Oh, he turned his life around after you dealt with him. He's married now with children. Or you look at the kids that you rescued out of the district attorney's hand. The amount of times you went into the precinct and fussed with the captains there to release a child that they were criminalizing. They said, boy, oh, Pastor, you have no idea how his life is now. And you go home and your prayers are still not being answered. Your wife is still sick. You've prayed. You fasted. You begged God. You promised him. You did everything you think you could do as a Christian. And he hasn't answered your prayer the way you want it. I wish I can tell you, but it all end well and Lorraine is happy now. And I used to tease her, you're going to get well and you're going to go and you're going to make Joyce Meyer look bad, girl. Come on. But that's not to be. I still have answers. I still have questions. But I know by and by, I know in the process of time, those answers will come. I'll tell you one thing. Living with a person with MS can make you the best possible human being you can be. It brings out qualities that you never know were there. It causes you to love in a way that you could never know you could love. It causes you to give in ways that you didn't know you had the capacity. It develops a character in you that can only be forged in the crucible of suffering. We hate suffering. But I want you to know, as a Christian, suffering is one of the best tools that God uses to refine our lives. So don't hate it. Don't curse yourselves. Don't treat yourselves as lesser than. And don't let anybody treat you as though you're somehow to be pushed to the side and forgotten. When those negative, debilitating thoughts come, remember you have a purpose. You have a purpose. And until the prints in your palms change, until the print at the back of your retina change, until the swirls at the bottom of your feet change, God hasn't changed his mind about what he wants with your life. or whether you're in a chair or you're using a walker, or whether you're bedbound and can't move, but can still speak, and can still see, or can still type, or can still write, or can still feel, you have a purpose. And I want to tell you, don't stop until you know what that purpose is. Don't you dare quit and be defined by your weakness, but know that your life has a purpose. And God will always send someone to be there to love and take care of you. And you are going to make a difference in the world. 3 things as I take my seat. To those who are responsible for your care, if I can advocate for you, is that all right? Can I say 3 things on your behalf, Madam President? The air transportation for people with MS and people in wheelchairs in Barbados is horrific. It's horrific. We're making all kinds of changes at GAIA now. Make your voice heard. You're not cargo to be lifted up at the back of a truck to be put on the plane. That must stop. To have to wait till everybody get off the plane and they send a truck with a Tommy lift and put you in the back of a truck to break you down to the tarmac must stop. I saw that with my wife, and I must tell you with tears, the hydraulic system was leaking, and by the time we got down to the ground, all her clothes were sprayed with oil. The air crew said nothing. Nobody even said, "Oh, so sorry." Nothing. No one says, "Oh dear." Nothing. She had to come into the terminal with her beautiful clothes sprayed with oil. How about a shopping card that causes you to get to the front of the line after you've done your shopping? That once you show your card, the management will say, "Front of the line, please," and allow you to be checked. Is that too hard? Is that too much? Can that be done? How about some in-store assistance for these high prices we paying? That when you show your card, they will assign somebody to help you get your stuff from the shelf. You don't always have to send George to pick them up and he bring the wrong brand all the time. And finally, Madam President, and to all of you, to Nicaila Cumberbatch, to your treasurer, Innocent Norbit, to Shanice, to Terry, to Marvin. How about a conference? Not just this setting, but a conference that will give CPE credits to the doctors that have to take care of you. And invite them to come. The clinicians, that you can sensitize them to your needs and your concerns. Because trust me, there are no MS experts. There are only doctors that specialize in treating people with MS. And they need to know how you feel. And they need to know your needs. Thank you. May God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Leacock. She's slipping out to another appointment. Thank you for being with us today. Shanice had asked earlier any questions or answers. It doesn't have to be directly to Reverend Leacock, which I know you'll probably have some for him. But any of the panels, I'm not putting you all on the spot. I know you're all here to help in any way. So any questions you may have, you can feel it this way before we do the vote of thanks. Marvin.
I wanted to make a comment reference to talk because I wouldn't believe that I would enjoy speaking of multiple sclerosis and myself being a multiple sclerosis sufferer. I must say to you, sir, that your level of understanding occurs because of your dedication to your partner's cancer, and I commend you for that. The only thing I would say to you to add to what you said is for you to understand the level of humility that has to be applied for someone to ask for help. And you sort of cross the airport of how your wife humbled herself to allow to trust someone else to help her. And that is important for you to understand that about yourself. I commend you.
Thank you.
All right, just hold on a minute. We're going to get some assistance to bring around the microphone. You can take mine. Okay, you can take mine. Sure. Yeah.
Pleasant good afternoon. I want to ask a question. I have a ramp at my home that the disability unit had done for me, but I need to get my side door that I can get through my side door in case of emergency. I have the blocks there, but I don't have nothing else to help with it. But I love to work. So if anybody come, I can cook. I can container my pot. I love to cook. That ain't not a joke. That's the truth.
Just give me your name.
Joy and John. Thank you, sir. And the next thing, I do work at National Insurance, but the persons at National Insurance need to respect person that walking with cane or come in National Insurance was in a wheelchair, and the seniors, they do not respect them, and they just gotta get on by when and do them things at work. I know how they treat me. I working there for 17 years, and the 10th of October be 18 in Jesus' name. Just remember that. I don't know what happened.
And we've heard not only your concern, but a number of other concerns have been expressed to us by a number of persons within the community. What we plan to do to address that specific concern is to have some awareness raising exercises publicized, either broadcast or in the media, so that persons know how to interact with persons with disabilities. The last thing that we would have done was to have some tips aired during the Cooperative General Insurance Tips on CBC News or the evening news at night. We would have had those, but that doesn't necessarily translate into changed behaviors. So what we plan to do is to intensify that, not only in terms of how to interact with persons with disabilities, but to also, another major concern is to discourage persons from parking in these spaces allocated for persons with disabilities, and persons who are hearing impaired have also expressed the challenges they experience when they try to communicate with customer service agents, both within the public sector and the private sector. So COVID would have delayed this particular program, but we do intend to provide training to as many customer service reps in both the public and private sector to at least alleviate that challenge.
Thank you.
John, Mr. Hollingsworth, bring down the thing that we have a conversation. I wanna just nip on from where he left off, and I want y'all to make a connection to what I said earlier something that just happened. Now, the Barbados that I knew for about 24 years, working in charity and so on, you have a request, you have to send a letter, you have to send an email, you have to set up 6 meetings. I'll get back to you. They get back to you in 2024. But I am so happy to work with a government at the level of the political directorate in policy, but also a government with public sector workers like Mr. Hollingsworth. Because you saw what happened there just now. You have an issue, I just want you name and you think. And it can be that way. In all the lot of long talk, letters, procedures, and that's what I was talking about earlier. I want to disagree with one thing he said, though, because the minister and the deputy prime minister made this abundantly clear. We are not discouraging anybody from parking anywhere. We are putting penalties and consequences for doing it. This dissuading thing don't work in Barbados. We strongly encourage you not to park there. No, there's policy and strengthening what he's saying. There's going to be policy, there's legislation being drafted and as we speak that will be coming to Parliament to ensure that these things are enforced. We have an enforcement problem in Barbados that we are seeking to because there are a lot of laws on the books. But if we do not have consistent enforcement of these laws and no consequences, people will flaunt the law. And I think we passed the stage for just discouraging. I think you want to go. I think she had the microphone first. She could come after you. Unless we give her.
I just wanted to say good afternoon to everybody at the head table and all of my fellow MS people, whether be it affected or friends, family, whatever. I wanted to say that because this is what happening to me for a very long time with me in my MS journey. People just look at me and they say, but then they look around you. She gotta be telling lies. Lies on top of lies. Now, why you don't know what I'm going through. And there's a physical side to MS, and then there's the invisible side to MS. And a lot of the invisible things I experience. And like right now, even at home, when I was working, because I'm not anymore, because my hands, it's not just one hand now, it's both hands, and then my leg. So a lot of different things are starting to happen on the way. But like, just because I'm not in a wheelchair, I had to ask somebody, how can you say that an individual is not, doesn't have an issue? They went wrong the neck. They got a sign. They got something to say that. Now, how could you say that just because the person don't look like nothing wrong with them, that nothing wrong with them? That does not, the right thing to keep saying to people, but and it pulls down people more and more. For the last year, I have become, and I'm telling you this, and you're the first people to know this. I have become, except the 2 people that know me pretty well, that would know what I'm going through, that would hear me at all hours of the morning, the night, whatever. For the last couple of months, I've been falling. Nobody can see me when they're outside falling. My last fall was Thursday, 3 a.m. and it hit my head and it hit my back. And I couldn't call anybody because I was shouting and nobody heard me. Now, in a situation like that, what happens? I'm there with my mother, I'm there with my stepdad. He told them he's leaving. Yes, because I'm brought in something for me, because it started happening so rapidly. to help me, that, you know, like how you have that buzzer that you press when there's an emergency. He brought something like that, but he was saying that he had issues with it because it is attached to 911. So what he had to do is search for something that could just alert them directly in the house. So it's like I'm on the floor, hit my head, hit my back, can't move. What you can do now? But then when they come outside and I try to put myself together now to come outside and say, okay, no problem. You gonna tell me that 9 wrong with me? How you know that 9 wrong with me? I've become such a recluse now. I don't talk to nobody. I just withdraw into myself, and that's it. I don't do much talking aside from, as I said, people that know me directly. And even then, I don't even do that. I've just withdrawn. I'm not saying it's the right thing, but I know I'm not the only person that has felt so depressed about everything that's going on, regardless of what it is, but mostly in this MS journey where you don't expect, as you rightfully said, you don't. I see myself at this point, I see myself here at this time in this at this age with this. This wasn't part of my plan. This wasn't part of my arrangement. This wasn't all in my head going on. You know, I worked and I had people that didn't understand what I was going through. They too thought that I was lying or being, you know, maybe sarcastic or over exaggerating. You understand? So it's not easy for me. I cry almost every day. Whilst he was talking, I was crying already. And I know it can start again.
Janelle, thanks. I don't want to cut you.
No, that's all right.
But we have to take in consideration that we have a schedule with the transportation. When you look around this room, as I said in my message, there are many, many stories. Everybody in here, we can write a book. That is why when the board was discussing, personally, I don't think it was about clinical. We're accustomed bringing people to speak on what is MS. We wanted a different direction this year. We've been around for 25 years. We have founding members. Terry, just wave your hand. One of the founding members with MS. Deborah came in after, right? You came in after the 25th. I see a hand raised, but I can't see who it is. So what I'm saying is, okay, it's not a cut, Janelle, but it's that all of us can share. So we probably need to have a forum where we can come. I'm sure Reverend Leacock would be willing. Mr. Hollingsworth has pledged his support. So therefore, we know now we will operate differently going forward. Because in the past, you all know I would always quarrel about MS keeping to themselves. We would take the walk. So the fall that you had, trust me, we had one member who fell down at home for 8 hours that day. She was on the floor alone. 10 hours, thank you, Diane. 10 hours, and we are calling. But we had a buddy team where you relate to somebody every day. You have to connect to somebody. Stronger together. So we were calling her and saying she went out with her partners. She had gone out, she's not supposed to do that. So we're calling all day. Never heard her. Not till the night time to hear she was on that floor all day. Pat is another person who would have been calling Lasanta. She's not with us this year. But I know she's smiling down on us. Because to see this today, she's smiling down on us. But so I want to say we would allow, please keep your comments short. We have some refreshments there for those who might be diabetic, and even for those who feeling the munchies. And we still have the thank you to do. So we want to keep the remarks short, but we will have many more of these events to come. The hand that was raised in the back, I'm not seeing who it was.
not there around anymore. And that's why I took it upon me to bring her up by me to give her the care.
Thank you, Shirley. And we will all have the same story. Another hand is raised. Remember, keep your comments short. Any questions, direct them so that we start to be mindful that the taxis will be coming back at 2.
Okay.
Remember, you still have to get some lunch and stuff. So I'm not rushing the day, but go
This
ahead.
question is to Corey Lane. Who do we report to about persons that are not disabled parking in the spots? Like when you go to the supermarket, for instance, I have to park right in front of the supermarket door because persons don't have on the stickers. They're just parking there for free, and you just stranded there for a while before somebody actually comes out and drive off to get a parking.
Right, there are a number of the things. This mic working real good. You got a good mic, man. Before I answer that, I'm very solution oriented. I have a email with a meeting, and I was speaking to Reverend Leacott as well, with a company that's meeting with us with those alert systems, local alert systems. It can be directed to your doctor, your caregiver, any person in the house. It can be specifically directed. So I got to check. I was checking through the email just now to actually get the exact name and the time we'll be meeting with them. That's number one. Number two, there are a number of people you can report it to. So it's the police, but there's a particular hotline, and that's a hotline that we're going to have to get to the association so that you know where to go. Because if you go just to the police generally, you're really at the mercy if you get a compassionate officer to answer the line or not. But there's a specific traffic hotline for all traffic offenses. So if you see somebody speeding, throwing garbage through the window, there's a specific line. I think also there's, in the particular busy areas, there are traffic cops. Well, not traffic cops. They have a specific name. They wear like this khaki type uniform. There are members linked with the MTW and the Barbados Police Service. So we got to get a number. I actually can try to get the number and give it to all of y'all before we leave, because I believe I have it in my directory.
Thank you.
Hi everyone. I am a daughter, I'm a mother, and I am a young lady. I am 23 years old, and I am here to say that all of you are very strong. I have a very young mother, and in many ways I have not been able to be the best mother as I'm young and I'm learning. And I don't have the strongest mother in terms of physical attributes, but I have a strong mother in mind. I have a strong mother in spirit, and she is a strong grandmother. And not because she can rumble, and not because she can hot boat, and not because she can plait my hair, and not because she could give me money, but simply because she has decided that I need to fight and I need to be able to achieve. I need to be able to help. And I'm here to say that all of you here are extremely strong people. Simply because you are here. She doesn't make it sometimes because she's tired. But she always gets here, and you all are here. And just because of that, it is great to be here with strong people. If I felt weak before I came, I am strong now. So I hope you guys have a great day, and you guys continue to fight, and everybody continues to be well.
Hi, good afternoon. Everybody made excellent contributions today, but I would love to add something to what Pastor Leacott said, because what he said made a lot of difference. The things that the association can do to fight for people with MS, and I'd like to add something in particular to what he said, and that is because of the nature of the illness. A person, something can happen to a person at any time without any kind of warning. Imagine you go into a bank, or you go into school, or you go wherever, and there's a sudden need for a bathroom. And because you do not have a sticker a person or just the lady at the top said, somebody consider that you're already, you are not allowed to do so. I am wondering if, Pastor Legal, just like you mentioned having a card, oh sorry, just like you mentioned having a card, if something could be done, that a person to flick it and they would be allowed to use something as simple as the bathroom. I think that would be an excellent thing to happen, to be able to allow persons in this position to have. Thank you very much.
John. If I may, because that is the second comment as it relates to identifying persons with disabilities who may not necessarily be seen as that way because they look like if they don't have a disability. The new national ID cards would have an indication as to whether or not this person has a disability. I am a bit presumptuous here, or I may be speaking out of turn, but nevertheless, the Electoral and Boundaries Commission is currently designing a form, basically, that would ask persons with disabilities to register with the National Disabilities Unit and to indicate it is not compulsory whether or not you want your disability to be listed on this ID card. So this would at least alleviate, not eliminate, that problem that those persons are experiencing if people do not believe that they have a disability. But this will be coming on stream very shortly, and I'm hoping, as I just said, that this will at least alleviate those particular identification issues. Yes, madam. Would naturally form part of the awareness process, because we just wouldn't issue cards saying a person has a disability and then persons don't know what it means and what sort of privileges that these persons would be entitled to. There'll be 8 different categories of persons with disabilities, and that can be, once you permit, be included on your national registration form. And obviously we will have to lobby with the various business places and public places to at least access or give persons with these that identification specific treatment or certain privileges.
Yes, I can identify with what my sister is saying. I can remember when I came home in 2013 and I had to go and sign some documents in a government building. I can't remember exactly which building it was. But there was no washroom for the public, and I didn't know my body as I know my body now, and I really needed to use the washroom, and there was no washroom. The security guard said to me, there is no washroom, and I was like so terrified. My husband was there with me, and I was like, what am I going to do? Because I know in an instant what would happen, and there was no washroom to use, actually. So, if that can be helped, where there's at least one washroom for the public, or even for persons with disabilities,
that would not be the total purview of the National Disabilities Unit or government, because we cannot mandate businesses to provide washroom facilities.
Government, it was a government.
It was in government?
Yes, please.
Okay. I would like, because we work to make all buildings or institutions fully accessible, right? But we would have to start within government, because even some government departments are not fully accessible either. But once we get this ID business off the ground, we are hoping that would help alleviate some of the challenges that you face.
Okay.
Can I ask what happened?
Because
in the end?
The thing about it is, at that point I was not using a rollator or a cane or anything. I could move, but I had challenges still. And and there was no washroom. The security guard said there's no washroom. I went right in front of the building, and I had to actually there was a garden there or something, I hide in the back there. The cars were passing. I had no choice, or I would have wet myself. Actually, I still, to some extent, did, but it was terrifying. At that moment, I went to sign some documents, because I had to see the Chief Justice then to sign some documents to sell some things, right? And there was no washroom. There was no washrooms at all, and I felt so, I felt really bad, you know. I didn't even want to go in after what happened to do what I had to do, but I had
Yeah,
to.
you had to do it.
It was embarrassing for
I
me.
understand the embarrassment that would have caused you, but we're working towards alleviating those issues.
And the thing about it is you could be charged for doing what I did, so you can understand how I felt really.
Law enforcement would have to be very unconscionable to charge you for something like that.
I want to add two things here. Earlier, I said nothing for you without you, and I'm serious. I think that and this is why the conversation and the connection between these organizations and the National Disability Unit and the National Disability Unit and the ministry is so critical, because all these issues must translate into policy. I've told persons before that I believe the same way for a building to operate in a particular way, they must get signed off by the Barbados Police, the Fire Service. I believe that in terms of any building being used for the public, there should be some assessment from the National Disability Unit and people trained in knowing exactly what are the specifications, the sizes, the degrees, the angles, everything, in order to sign off to be used for the public. So that's something that I think that y'all should keep the fire to our feet to ensure that it's implemented. The second thing is I would encourage everyone to go there. There's the sticker that you can get for the disabled parking. Any identification that they have operating, I would encourage you to get. I don't think it is good enough to say, okay, you cannot see the disability. I think you should do it. It is in your interest to ensure that your caregiver go there and get that identification for you to make your job easier, so that people don't have to be looking and guessing, and you meet somebody good and compassionate one day, then you meet a earth demon the next day. You understand? So to kind of take that guesswork out of it. The ID card is a part of it. If you all want to advocate, I think you could put it on the table to have, as you say, something that you can flick if you feel more comfortable with that. I think you should advocate for it. And also, again, the stickers that are linked to the Barbados Licensing Authority, National Disabilities Unit, and the Barbados Police Service, I think that you should make use of them, renew them, and ensure that you are in the clear.
Okay.
Just for IndyCar.
Okay, I just want to. Sure. I'm not going to be long. I just want to say that I've been working with the council for over 20 years, and a lot of the issues I'm hearing today, we have been advocating for them for years. The parking is one major thing. Maria was the president at the time. It wasn't just, a 1 day, 2 day thing. It was years of advocating, petition writing, awareness. What Mr. Hollingsworth spoke about, awareness is key. We even issued parking IDs as an awareness project for years. The actual parking was just an awareness until it became a legal document with the licensing authority. Those are acquired through the council. Accessing buildings. We were fulfilling our role as advocates, where persons would come and ask for advice on how to assess buildings, properties, lands, through our Fully Accessible Barbados program. I'm encouraged, really, and I'm not tapping anybody in the shoulder, but for years we have been doing our work as advocates. To get to this point, we had to be successful. We had to be aiming for a high level, a high standard. We did advocacy through Bridgetown, overseas, through FAB, all these things. There are a lot of things that a lot of persons, even in government, are not even aware of. Mr. Hollingsworth has come on board within the last couple of years. I have to say, for the first time, I am seeing action. And I mean, I feel like I could go home and retire now, but I'm going to keep in this tail. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is indeed a privilege and an honor to give the vote of thanks on behalf of the President and members of the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Barbados. I'll express thanks to our participants in the order of our program. Thanks to fellow MS member Claudia Thomas for lifting us up in prayer and blessing our proceedings. I could not say thank you without thanking our tireless president, Mrs. Maria Holder Small, who leads us with commitment and passion. Maria, thank you for all that you do and for making today possible. The support of the MS board and team. We are truly indeed stronger together. To Dr. Alison Leacock, who has had to leave us, for being able to make the presentation to our awardees and for the valuable and readily assisting wherever called upon. To our awardees, we thank you for making a positive difference and congratulations to you on your awards. I will now turn my attention to our guests. To spoken artists and NTI artist, Mr. Adrian Green, I believe, who has left us already. Thank you for gracing us with your presence, for delivering such an outstanding piece. And words have meaning, and your words were powerful indeed. So we thank him for sharing with us this morning. To Mr. John Hollingsworth, your role in leading the National Disability Unit is so critical to our advancement. And we thank you for participating in our program today. We were very happy to have you join us. To the Honorable Corey Lane, Member of Parliament and Acting Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to be present this afternoon, at least from this morning, and for delivering your inspiring remarks. We know your track record in community service, and we are looking forward to the ministry's energetic commitment and action to lift the profile of all persons with disabilities in Barbados. Our thanks to you, Minister Humphrey, and the entire team in the ministry. We are expecting great things. To our guest speaker, the Reverend Paul Leacock, who so aptly relayed to us what caring for his wife living with MS was like, thank you for sharing with us a vivid and honest part of your journey. You have certainly walked the road that many of us are now on. To the media, you are our valued partners, and we appreciate all that you do and welcome your continued reporting on our work so more Barbadians can become aware of our condition. I'd also like to thank the representatives of the Barbados Defense Force, the Barbados Coast Guard, who for many years, whenever called upon, always rise to the occasion. You are like family to us, and we appreciate you. To Ms. Pat Paris, Director of Public Affairs, our special thanks for giving us a top-notch media team of Ricky Redmond and Selwyn Brown, whose top-class work is well known. We feel honored to have them cover for us and say thanks to Ricky and Selwyn. We know you'll make us look good. We thank the Barbados Council for the Disabled for providing media support. To Roseanne Trudeau, who gave assistance in social media awareness, performing hostess duties for us. To the persons behind the scene who organize our logistics, decor, delicacies, and errands. Tracy Holdit of Evision Event Rental. Lee Rivero of Events by Lee. Shari Leslie of Balloons Designed by Shay, Lisa. Makisha Eastman, a fellow MS Warrior of CHB Events. Paulette Lord Thomas. Mona and her team here at Golden Sands, who are always so hospitable to us. Brian Perch, Kurt Bishop of Voice Overs International, and Janelle Skinner for all the awareness posters shared. Kieran Trotman and Stephen Small, who became our hands and feet when we couldn't get places we would have loved to go. Finally, let me thank each one of you for being here. We know the challenge of returning face-to-face events and how Monday mornings can be can be. So we thank you for making us a priority. We appreciate you all and all your support. Thanks again, and please stay safe.
All right, you heard it. Thank you all for coming. Done by Diana. We have some refreshments in the corner. Compliments of Paulette and Golden Sands, Mona and her team. Please don't let it go in vain. And the MS members, you probably will get your lunch in takeaway containers. That's a good idea, right? We know in no time the vehicles will be out there and we have to load it. We know we had transportation issues. 2 vehicles were down, so we had to do some twisting around.